All right, I think we're gone live here. All right, so got a little go by here. So let me share my screen. See if this is going to work. All right, you should be able to see my screen here. Let me drag this out of the way. And leave this here. Okay, so assume y'all can see my screen here, moving around here. All right. So here's what we're going to talk about today. So this is a co-listed class. So welcome to everybody. I'm Mark Summers. I'm going to teach the class this semester. We're 100% online, so we'll be meeting. It's an asynchronous, which means there's no set class time. So you'll work on assignments on your own, and I've got office hours 5 days a week. So if you got questions, you can always hop into office hours. But other than that, we won't have any meetings like we're having today throughout the semester. So welcome attendance. Let me do the attendance real quick so I can see who I need to go ping to find out where they're at. So hopefully I've got everybody that's on the roster. So let me go through here, click over here. All right, so today is Tuesday. So let me go start at the top. Evan, are you on here? So there you are right there. Evan's here. Layson. If I say your name wrong, let me know so I can try to correct it. Nelson, Calvin. Calvin is there. Hey, Calvin. Santiago is right there. And let me make this thing bigger so I can see it better. See everybody. Okay. On Jaden, let's see, right. Here we are. So on Jenny is here. And we got a Braden Knott is here. Good. And I got a Calvin and an Elvin. Calvin, already got Calvin, I think. Yeah, I got Calvin. Evan, he's right here. I've already got Evan. And Oslo and Santiago. Oslo is right here. Santiago, I think I've already got. Yep. And Shelby. Okay, so we got no Samista, no Carlo, no Raphael, no Roland, no Brian, and no Pramod. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, I think I got everybody marked here. So if I made a mistake, let me know. Otherwise, I want to keep going here. Save this. All right, so we did the attendance. So student ID. So we'll talk about more details later, but when you submit assignments for the semester, you're going to be using these student ID numbers right here on this column right here on the screen. So I'll show you how to format your file names in your drawings and your assignments you'll be doing. But the number you need to remember is this number in this column here. So Samista is 01, Carlo is 02, and then all the way down to Pramod, which is number 14. So take note of those numbers. Pramod and Samista, I'm just talking about them now, they're showing up, so that's good. So there's Pramod and Samista. Okay, so like I was saying, take note of these student ID numbers. Oops. In this column here. So Samista is 01, Carlo 02, and on down to Pramod is 14. And then this column here tells you the course is a co-listed class. So there's DFTG 1429 students that are taking the class. They're in the room right now, and they're labeled with D. And then there's engineering students taking ENGR 1304. And so hopefully I got these right. And so this is kind of unique in that there's two different classes coming together to take the class at the same time. The material's the same for everybody. And the thing I like about this is that the CAD students are going to have much more CAD skills than the engineering students are going to have, which means they've already had DFTG 1405. They know how to do AutoCAD. They know how to do drawings. And the engineering students, maybe you've had drafting classes in high school or some other places, but maybe not. And so engineering students will be at a disadvantage that part of the class. On the other hand, engineering students have had more engineering courses and more math courses, I'm assuming. So they're going to have more insight into some of these engineering computations we're going to do. And in that case, the drafting students may be at a slight disadvantage. But I like that because we do these projects and it's going to be collaboration between students, and hopefully the drafting students can help the engineering students with CAD drawing type stuff, and engineering students can help the drafting students pick up on computational stuff we'll be doing. Okay, so that takes care of that. Let me save and close this. And what's next on the hit rate? So let's go, I want to go through Blackboard because this will be the main point of contact for y'all to find out about stuff going on for the class. And so let me go look at Blackboard here. And so this is my view. So if you got the window, you can get going. Maybe you want to pull up Blackboard so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So when I go to Blackboard, I go to courses and I can pick my courses. These are the two courses I'm teaching. So there's a different tab for each course, but the material that's in one of them is in the other one. They're exactly, I just duplicate one to the other. So I'm just going to pull up this first one here so you can see what it looks like. And so according to my list here, and before I get going too far, I'm going to talk continuously for the next hour. So if I'm talking and you need to stop and ask me a question, unmute yourself and then shoot me a question. I'll ask it as we go, or answer it as we'll go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is assignments. So when I go into Blackboard, under content, the first thing here is assignments. And so if I hit this down arrow, you're going to see that we've got student ID. This is the thing we just looked at. Here's all the students, and so that should match what we just looked at. And student ID list. So when you create your files for the semester, you're going to use this file naming format. And if you don't follow this format, you're going to submit your assignments, and I'll never see them because I specifically look for these file names when I go grade this stuff. And so let's see what the secret decoder ring looks like. So that's the file format we're going to use. HLC stands for the Highland Campus. That's where the class is based out of. www is our class ID. And so this is the 64th class I've taught at ACC. And so I call this class 064. And then there'll be a dash, and then XX is going to be your two-digit student ID. And so Samista is not going to put -1. She's going to put -01 because it's a two-digit entry there. So 01, 02, 03, that goes for XX. YY is the assignment number, and the first assignment will be 01, the next one will be 02, and it'll all go down until we get to the last assignment, which is whatever number it is. The ZZ won't be used until we get to assignment 6. We'll use that when we start doing assembly modeling, and you'll be submitting assignments 1 through 5 is going to be, you're going to submit one part model and or one drawing. They'll have the exact same file name. And so there's no need for another digit. But once we start with assignment 6 with this assembly model, you'll need to have those last two characters as part of the file name. So for assignments 1 through 5, the file name will be HLC, all capital letters all the time, HLC-064- your two-digit student ID, dash, and the first assignment will be 01, and then 02, 03 on down the line. All right, so that takes care of that. And then under content, we're still under assignments. So these are the assignments. So each one of these assignments has its own tab. And assignment 1, if we click here, I've got some information about assignment 1. And so to find out about the assignments, you're going to go to three different places. You'll go to this assignments tab and it'll give you some information about here. And this is talking about how I'm going to grade assignments 1 and 2. And then here's assignment 2, assignment 3, and some of these have files associated with it. So what you're going to want to do is create a folder structure. And I don't know if you're going to be you can work on these things on campus, at Highland campus. And on the Highland campus, you'll have access to SolidWorks, and you'll have access to a U drive where you can save your files. Some of y'all like to save it on the Google Drive. Wherever you save it, you're responsible for making sure these files don't get lost and or corrupted. And so if you're working at home, you need to have a good folder structure so you can find these files. So whether you keep them on a Google Drive, on your hard drive at the house, on the user drive on campus, wherever you put your files, you're responsible for keeping track of these things. And you need to make a folder structure. So let me show you how I make my folder structure. On my computer, I've got a folder called Documents. I'm sure you do too. I got a folder called Austin Community College, and I got a folder here for this class. And so you're going to replicate this kind of folder structure. You're going to make a folder called A01-Hexbolt, A02 DINRAIL, and you'll eventually have different folders for different assignments. What you don't want to do is throw all your files into one folder someplace, because it's going to be too complicated. You're going to have hundreds of files before this thing is over. So keep every assignment in its own folder. And you're going to want to make a lectures folder so you can download all these lectures from Blackboard and put them on your computer so you don't have to continually go back to Blackboard to keep downloading these files over and over again. And then I got a folder called SolidWorks that's got some information in here. And so you just want to replicate this folder structure so that you can keep your files organized. And this is a huge part of the class and a huge part of your career. You're going to be working in industry. You're going to have to keep track of your files, and the company is going to have different ways they want you to save your files. But the bottom line is you've got to follow the rules. And for this class, you've got to create these folders like I'm talking about, and we got to use that file naming structure that I just talked about. So file management is a huge part of the class. And so anyway, so that's under this assignments tab in Blackboard. And I've got the first few assignments. These are not quite ready for posting yet, but eventually every single assignment will have its own little folder to go to. All right, so let's collapse that assignment folder, and we'll keep going down the list here of items. So lectures is the next tab. And so if I open up lectures, there's lecture 00, kickoff. That's what we're doing today. This is like week 1 and 2, introduction. And I've got lectures for the whole semester. And some of these I haven't updated yet. And so I've got through, you should be able to see lectures through lecture 4. And so you'll need to go, we're not going to go through these lectures today. You're going to be looking at them offline because that's what you're going to be doing the rest of the semester. So all the lectures you're going to want to go through each one of these as we come up to as we start doing new assignments. So that's the lectures tab. And then the next one on my hit list here is SolidWorks. And here it is right here. And so you'll have hopefully already seen this and been doing this. This is these installation instructions. I sent y'all an email a week or two ago telling you to get SolidWorks installed on your computer. And if you're going to work on these assignments 100% on campus on your own time in one of those labs, then you don't need to install SolidWorks on your home computer. But I suspect most of you are going to be working some or all the time on your home computer, so you've got to install these SolidWorks on your computer. And we're not going to do that here while we're talking during this session, but you're going to have to follow those instructions that I sent. And they're all inside these files here. Templates, we'll talk about these in a minute, but you're going to want to install these templates. And as media files, let's go look inside of here. So you click on media files. These are files of videos for you to watch to learn how to use SolidWorks. And so when we go over the syllabus here in a minute, you'll see some of the textbooks that I recommend. None of them are required. because you're going to be watching videos to learn how to use SolidWorks. So if you've never used SolidWorks before, it's going to be imperative that you watch these videos to teach yourself how to use SolidWorks. So the one caveat on these files, you're going to download these files, all three of them here. Blackboard doesn't let me post video files. So what you have to do is when you download it, and I'll do it on this one, you have to rename the extension from .txt. Here's the instructions up here. Rename it from a .txt to a WMV file. And so here's what you'll do is you'll do this first one. You'll use the pull down, hit the three dots maybe, download original file, and then you'll go to your download folder, and you'll come in here and rename it from .txt to .wmv. And that tricks Blackboard to let me post it. And then once you get on your computer, you just double click on it, and it's a Windows media file, and it'll give you a little short introduction to doing SolidWorks and how to navigate SolidWorks. So this is step one, is to learn how to use SolidWorks. And so there's three of those files. You'll download all three to your folder, and I suggest you make a folder called Media Files. And I don't have one yet, so I need to make one called right-click, New Folder, Media Files. And I'm going to watch my cap lock here. And then I want to put all three of those files. I'm not going to leave them in that download folder because I want to keep everything nice and organized. And so I'll come over here to the download folder. I'll cut that one and then paste it over here. And I'll do that for the other ones. Okay. So those are the media files. The templates, you're going to do a similar thing. You're going to go to the templates tab in Blackboard. And there's 6 templates, and we're going to be using these throughout the semester. So you need each one of these. So you're going to come in here and again hit the 3 dots over here and say download file. And you're going to download all 6 of them. And then you're going to come over here to your folder on your wherever you keep all your files, and you're going to have a folder called templates. And you're going to copy all those 6 files over here to this templates folder so they're always in the right folder. Don't leave them in the download folder. Move them to the file where you're keeping the rest of your other files. And then I'll show you in a minute how to set those up in SolidWorks. But get those 2 sets of files. Get the media files, the SolidWorks templates files, and then this is just the instructions that you've already got via email from me. And so hopefully you've all installed SolidWorks already, because we got assignments that are going to be coming due right away. All right. I'm on a roll here. Nobody's stopping me, so I'm going to keep talking. That takes us through media files. So let's go look at the syllabus. And so the syllabus is posted here. When you use the pull down, there's a syllabus, and I've already got it open here. So I do want to take time to go through this syllabus line by line instead of having y'all just read it. So here it is on the screen. So here are the 2 classes. Here's my name. It's online. Office location is, we're on Zoom. And you already know the URL to get to the Zoom page because you're here already. So that's, you guys already know how to do that. I'm going to have office hours 5 days a week, 1 hour a day from 11 to 12 o'clock, the time we're at right now. And so I will never go open up that Zoom office hours by default. In other words, between now and tomorrow, nobody sends me an email to say, hey, Mr. Summers, I'm having trouble with that media file. I'd like to meet during office hours. Well, if you want to do that, send me an email before about 9 o'clock tomorrow to say, hey, meet me in the Zoom office hours so I can come ask you these questions. And then I will definitely be there. And if I hear from 5 people, I'll show up. If I hear from 14 people, I'll show up. If I hear from 1 person, I'll show up. But if I hear from nobody, I'll never start the meeting because I'm assuming nobody needs my help that day. So you can use these office hours as often as you want. And if 11 to 12 o'clock, I assume is a good time for everybody since y'all were making it today. But if you prefer a different time, I teach out here at Texas State University, so I can't meet at any time, any day. But if you're going to have a hard time, if you're going to want to come to office hours on a regular basis, and being in office hours from 11 to 12, Monday through Friday is not going to work, let me know, and we'll work something out. All right, there's my phone number. If you call me on the phone, I'll never answer. But because you're not in my contact list, but you can send me a text message if you like. But the best way to get a hold of me is through email, because I got my phone here. I check my email all day, every day. And so best way to get a hold of me is to email me. And if you just like to talk on the phone or like to send text messages, I can answer that way as well. But preferred method is email. Course evaluation. So this is how we're going to be grading the class. It's pretty much assignments all the time, all semester. And so half of the class grade is based on your grades on these assignments. At the very end of the semester, the last two assignments, I call them projects. And so the next to the last assignment, if you will, is this design project. And it's a big capstone project. And that's one assignment, this one project, that's worth 15% of the class grade. And then we'll have quizzes from time to time, maybe. And I'm not sure how I'll do that with a remote class. But if you happen to miss a quiz, it's no big deal because I dropped the low grade. There's no makeups on the quizzes. That's 10%. And then the class project is the very last project we do. It takes us about 3 weeks to finish. And it's a top-down electromechanical design project, which encapsulates all the stuff we learn all semester. You do this big design project. And it's a big deal. It takes a long time, but it's going to be part of your portfolio to convince your future employer that they need to hire you, because you'll be able to not just say, hey, I know how to use SolidWorks, which is going to be, you learn how to use SolidWorks, but everybody knows how to use SolidWorks. You got kids coming out of high school that are better than I am in SolidWorks, but what they don't know how to do is to do top-down designs. And so this is going to be a part of it. And it's a big part of the class grade. It's 25%. So the last two projects are worth 40% of the grade. So sometimes students get started and they get depressed because or not depressed, but they get a little discouraged because they don't make all hundreds in all their assignments. But you can make up a lot of the points in the semester by doing well on those last two projects. All right. Course rationale. I'm going to read this whole thing word for word because I think it's important. So my goal is to introduce you to the principles of parametric solid modeling using SolidWorks. And so first day, I always say this to all the students and they kind of freak out, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm not going to teach you how to use SolidWorks, which is like, what the hell is he talking about? Of course he's going to teach us. Well, SolidWorks is like if I wanted to teach you how to use a word processor. Well, I can teach you with Microsoft Word. I can teach you with WordPerfect. There's lots of programs that do word processing. And if you learn how to it's like driving a car. If you have a Chevrolet and you trade it in for a Ford, you don't have to go take a bunch of driving lessons to figure out how to drive it. The buttons are in different places. The levers are kind of generally the same, but you can figure it out. And it's the same way with parametric solid modeling. So we're going to use SolidWorks in this class, but I'm not going to necessarily teach you how to use SolidWorks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to be a proficient 3D parametric CAD modeler. And that's going to work when you go in the workplace and you work for somebody and they say, hey, I'm ready to go. Where's my SolidWorks? And they say, we don't use SolidWorks. We use Inventor. Or we use CATIA. Or we use Unigraphics. Or we use whatever. You're going to say, oh, well, that's interesting. I've never used that CAD tool before, but I am a proficient 3D parametric CAD modeler, and I know how to use SolidWorks, and I'll figure out how to use this new program. And you'll go through a few weeks of training, and you'll be up to speed on it. All right, describe the construction techniques, utilization of feature-based modeling. These all words may not mean a lot to you now, but they will as we go through the semester. Feature-based modeling and applying design intent. It's a huge thing we'll be learning about during the semester to control basic 3D dimension parts. I'm going to demonstrate and explain the construction and constraint methods for combining basic parts into assemblies, structures, and other assembly operations. And I don't say it in there, but I should say we're going to also do drawings. We're going to do part drawings, and these part drawings, the assignments we're doing are not pretend assignments out of a textbook. they're real assignments for parts that I've designed. And so you're going to start seeing stuff. Where's my camera at here? You're going to start seeing, I got a camera here somewhere. That's not it. Where's my camera? Anyway, can you see this? Somebody wave at me. Anyway.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So we've got all these parts that I have these assignments of. They're all parts that I've designed in the past. And so we're going to be making models of real parts that go in real designs, and you're going to be do drawings, not pretend drawings like you see in the textbook. They're going to be drawings that actually are used to fabricate these parts. And so I think that's an advantage of me having 30 plus years of experience as a mechanical design engineer. I've got access to a lot of these things I've designed over the years, and that's what we're going to do for assignments. So course description, maybe I'll read this too. Basic Corp including layout and design of electromechanical equipment from engineering notes and sketches. You'll be introduced to engineering topics such as finite element analysis. This is beyond just CAD. This is using CAD models to do other things like structural analysis, FEA. If you don't know what these mean, that's fine. We'll learn about it as we go. You're going to learn about tolerance analysis using GD&T, which is geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. And I suspect you CAD students, DFTG 1429 students, have at least heard about GD&T, hopefully. And engineering students may have never heard about it, but that's okay. I want to teach you basic topics in GD&T for everybody. We're going to learn about materials and finishes, welding, and top-down design techniques. Additional advanced topics include stress, deflection, and press fit, hole tolerance calculations using mathematical models. So the engineering students are going to be used to doing these engineering mathematical calculations, and the drafting students, you guys probably know how to do it too, but we'll all be doing that. You'll design and document real-world mechanical parts and assemblies, so that's a big deal. These are the two different prerequisites that show up in the course schedule, so depending on which class you're taking, you'll have to have those prerequisites. These are some textbooks that are optional. There's no assignments that come out of here. There's no readings to do from here that are related to the course. But what I find is that there's two different ways that I find that students learn these CAD topics. One of them I call the cookbook method, and the other one I call the systems level method. And so the way I learned and the way I teach the course is through a systems level. And so on my videos, you're going to be watching to learn how to do these assignments. I don't go in there and say, okay, push this button right here, and then type these 3 letters and hit enter, and then move your mouse over here. I'm not going to go through step-by-step process. I'm going to say, hey, make a sketch, make an extrude, and I'll have a short video to kind of show you what I'm talking about, and then you'll have to go pick it up that way. Now, if you are more of what I call the cookbook method, which is where you get the textbook, here, and you're used to going into a textbook and it says, okay, let's do an assignment, let's do a helical sweep. And you're on here and it says step 1, push this button. If that's the way you like to learn and you learn best, then you're going to want to maybe consider buying one or both of these textbooks, because it's going to be more of a cookbook thing where you go through and the first few times you do it, you're following the steps and eventually you'll pick up on it. I can't learn that way because it drives me crazy to go step by step. Plus, I'm not a cook. I can't make a cake because I can't follow instructions. I just give me the big picture, and then I do it. So you can learn either way in this class. But these textbooks are both optional. But they're 2 good textbooks, and if you're more of a cookbook kind of learner, then this might be a good thing for you to get. Okay, here's a quick synopsis of the semester. We got 16 weeks, and that's what we're going to be doing. This course is most likely the fastest paced course you will take at ACC. At the end of the semester, I always ask the students, should I leave that in the syllabus? And they generally all say, yeah, this is fast paced, a lot of stuff. Most students get frustrated at the beginning, but I promise it gets better. Be prepared to drink from a fire hose the next 16 weeks. So hopefully that doesn't scare you off, but hopefully it reinforces the fact that you've got to keep up. You got to pay attention. You got to keep up with the assignments. And being an online class, I'm not going to be there every day saying, hey, Evan, you didn't come, you didn't, you're going to be on your own to keep track of this stuff. I'm going to be there to help you during these office hours every day, 5 days a week. But it's going to be up to you to come ask me when you have questions, because I'm not going to be sending emails to everybody every day saying, hey, do you have any questions? I won't be doing that. I'll expect you all to contact me when you have questions. Okay, this is talking about the course is 100% online with no set class times or dates. It's asynchronous, which means there's no set class times or dates. All the required materials will be provided on Blackboard. Therefore, it be imperative that each student remains diligent in keeping up with the assignments and asking for help as questions arise. That's what I just said. I'll be available to answer general questions during the day via email request. So if you've got a quick question and you can't go to the office hours or you don't want to, you could just send me an email anytime, 24 hours a day. But the key thing is it needs to be a specific question. Because you send me an email, say, hey, Mr. Summers, how you doing? I'm doing just fine. I got a question about assignment 1. I need your help. Well, I can't help you because you got to tell me, you got to give me some specific questions. So give me some bullets or something to say, hey, I'm having trouble with this particular thing. And that way I'll have a good chance to be able to answer it via email. And I check my email during the day. And so if you send me an email, you're going to get a reply for sure within 24 hours, but generally a lot quicker than that. Because I know if you got a question, I'm assuming you're stuck until you get an answer. So I want to try to answer these questions, email questions, as quickly as I can. If you send me an email at 2 o'clock in the morning, I won't see it till the next morning. If you send me one at 5 o'clock in the morning, I may see it and answer by 6 because I get up early in the morning. So it doesn't matter when you send me the email. Whenever I'm awake and available, I'll answer those as I get them as quickly as I can. So I've already talked about this. I'll make myself available weekdays from 11 to 12 via Zoom, just like we're doing now. If you want to take advantage of these office hours, send me an email request before 9 a.m. on the day you want to meet. So I'll make sure to log into the Zoom session. So that's what we talked about earlier. Visit Blackboard often to check class grades and look for announcements. Email will be preferred method of communication. All your assignments are going to be submitted via email. And so I think I don't know if a lot of them, but I hear that a lot of classes, the instructor has you submit the assignments on Blackboard somehow. I don't know how that works, but don't do that. I don't even know how to do that, and I'll never see it. So don't submit anything on Blackboard. Assignments, all the assignments you're going to send to me via an email. And so let me show you how to create an email, because this is usually an issue at the start of the semester. And so what you're going to want to do is make a new email, and you're going to send it to msummers@austincc.edu, and you're going to say, yo. No, you're not going to say that, because I get emails all day, every day from students in all different classes. Some of them are Texas State students, some of them are ACC students. So if I were you, I would just type in ACC HLC-064-student 01-04. If you do that, I'll know exactly who you are, because I'll know your student number. I'll know which class you're in. And so that's really helpful to me. And if you say ENGR 1304, well, I teach 2 ENGR 1304 classes here at Texas State, and I teach one at the one you're in now at ACC. And so I'll have to go figure out who you are, and it'll take me, anyway, just help me out. Give me a good subject line. And then the text, the body part of it, you'll say, Mr. Summers. Hi. How are you? I am doing fine, except my dog is sick and I am sad. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you not to tell me how your day's going, but for an email, professional email, asking a question about a specific problem, you're not going to want to do this. I mean, you want to, you can. But you're going to say, I have these questions. And then make a bullet or something. And say, assignment, well, 1, how what is the dimension for the X ed height? That'd be a good question. And you'd have to spell it correctly. I've screwed up my spelling. And then ask me whatever questions. And this way, and this is from Joe Blow. And then when I reply back, I'm going to hit reply, and I'm going to say, well, let's just do it here. Well, I can't. So I want to answer each one of these on their own line. I want to say, and I may color it red. I want to say the height is 4.752 inches. And this way I can answer each one of them. And you don't want to embed 14 questions in a paragraph that I'm having to rambly go through. This is going to help me give you a better answer. And if I don't know the answer to question 2, I'm going to say, I will get back to you in this. And then question 3, I've got some kind of answer. Here's the answer. And so it may take me, another hour or two to figure out the answer to question 2, but I'll give you the answer to the 2 I can get to right away, and then I'll get back with you on the 1 here. So this is going to be a good way for me to keep track of when I've answered your questions, and hopefully it'll be good for you to get feedback in a timely manner. So this is, I call this email etiquette. And so up here you could just put ACC ENGR 1304. That'd be good enough. Now, when you submit your assignments on the email, if you have this stuff on a Google Drive, there's a way where you can click a button and say, make a link to my Google Drive, a file on my Google Drive. And I'll never be able to see that because I'm not logged into ACC computer, and I'm not going to have access to your file. And so when you submit an assignment, you're going to hit this paperclip, say attach a file, and you're going to go find the file. Find something here that looks interesting. Say you're going to submit this as your submittal. Or here's one here. There's a good file name, HLC 063. This is the last semester. This is student 3, and it's assignment 1. It's like, this is great. I got it. I know exactly whose that is, what class it is. And they also all sort in order. Look at this. They're all in order. It's the way I like it. And so here somebody lost 5 points because they had the wrong file name, so I renamed it. So use that file name, and when you attach it, there's going to be a link that says, hey, do you want to share this as a link? And I think a lot of these email programs, they make this the default. And if you say yes, let's just put yes on it. What does it do? It tries to make a link to that file, and I'll never be able to see it. And so you don't want to do that. What you want to do is say attach file, browse your PC, select the file, and it should look just like this right here. It should be a real attachment. And so that thing I just created this link to, I'll never see it, and I'll send you an email say, you didn't send it as an attachment, and it'll just waste your time and my time. So make sure you make an attachment like this so that when I get it, I can just pull this down and say download file, and I can put it right on my computer, and I'll have it, and I'll be able to grade it. So that's how you submit assignments, and that's how you send good emails. All right. All right, we got down to here, visit Blackboard often. I talked about that. Assignments are due at midnight on the announced due date. So how will you know the due date? Well, you'll need to go to Blackboard. And so when you go to Blackboard and go to the grade book, you'll have a different view because you won't have everybody's students. You'll only see your own. But these files have due dates assigned to them. And if I view it, it doesn't give it to me. How do I see that? I think y'all's dates, somebody can look at it right now. But I think that here we go. So this one's due on the 22nd. This is due in 2 days from now. January 22nd at midnight is when this is due. So when you want to find out the due date, for an assignment and you see an email, send me an email that says, hey, Mr. Summers, when is assignment 1 due? I'm going to reply back and say, I don't remember. Go look at Blackboard. And it'll be in Blackboard. And that's the due date. So let's go back to the syllabus. What does it say about the due dates? Assignments are due at midnight on the announced due dates. Assignments that are turned in on time will be allowed to submit red line corrections. These corrections will enable students to earn additional points halfway to 100 on the assignment. For example, if a student turns it in on time, which is important, you turn it in on time, in this case for assignment 1 is midnight on Thursday, and receives a grade of 80, and then you complete red line updates. So you pretty much make corrections for the things you got wrong. And if you do all those corrections, you can potentially raise your final grade from an 80 to a 90. It's taking it halfway to 100. Students turning in assignments late cannot earn these additional points. And so why do I do that? Why don't I give the student that turns it in late the same break? Well, it's not because I'm mean, even though some students may say that. The reason I do that is because you can't be working on old assignments because you need to be working on the next assignment. And so I used to allow these things to drag out. But students that turned it in late the first week, they spend the next week doing the first assignment and then run out of time on the second assignment, and it just builds up and they never get it caught up. So if you don't turn it in on time, if you turn it in on Friday morning at 8 o'clock, I'm just not going to be able to give you red line corrections. But don't turn it in just to make it turn in by the deadline. If it's not quite done by Thursday at midnight, finish it up on Friday, knock it out, and then send it to me, and I'll grade it just like I'm grading the other ones. It's just you won't be able to do red line corrections on it. The grade you get will be the final grade. All submittal red lines are due no later than 1 week after the initial due date. So after you turn it in on time, you're going to get a grade. You have to do those corrections and send me the updates within that week. And then I'll look at it and potentially raise your grade halfway to 100. Assignments will not be accepted once this 1 week period is passed and will be assigned a permanent grade of 0. So if you turn it in on time and you get an 80, and then a week and a day later you turn in the updates, it's going to stay at an 80. If you don't turn it in on time and another whole week passes and you still haven't turned it in, it's a 0. And it'll stay a permanent 0 because you've got to be working on the next assignment. So hopefully that makes sense. Here's a class breakdown as usual. A, B, C, D. Here's the learning outcomes. The rest of the stuff is I'm not going to go through. It's important stuff, but it's standard stuff for the university. So I'm going to stop right there on the syllabus. So I'm going to minimize this thing, look at the clock, make sure I'm not going to run out of time here. Let's go to the next topic here. Zoom. All right, we already talked about Zoom, and it's got, go back to Blackboard here, the Zoom thing here. Hopefully it has all the stuff you need. Login details, this just tells you what you already know about the office hours and about the session. So this will be the link you use for office hours throughout the semester. All right, let's keep going here. Announcements. So in Blackboard, there's an announcements tab, and these are draft things. So you'll see this first one, and you've already seen this. When I post these announcements on Blackboard, it should automatically send you an email that says, hey, Summers just posted an announcement on Blackboard. And so you should have no reason why you don't see all these announcements. So, you can ignore them if you want, but I highly suggest reading what's in these things so that you can know what I'm trying to tell everybody, because this will be the way I communicate stuff to the classes. So those are the announcements, and these will stay put here. So if you want to go back and revisit them, you can go back and revisit them. Okay, grade book. We looked at the grade book. Where'd it go? The grade book. This is where you keep track of your grades, and it keeps a running total here, so you can see exactly what your grade is. And I'll be adding more assignments as we go through the semester. Let's get rid of that. Let's go back to here. All right, YouTube videos. Okay, so I've got an extremely extensive set of YouTube videos. I started teaching this course online back during COVID, and I've got videos out the wazoo. And so to find the videos, it's pretty easy. I bought a domain name, and if you go to www.engr1304.com, you'll come to my beautiful YouTube channel. And so let's just do that right now. And so you get in here and you see my little video I've got here. It's so much fun. And you see all the pretty pictures. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, down here it's got videos that are kind of up at the top of the list. But what you're going to want to do is click on playlist. Click on playlist. And I've got playlists for lots of different topics. These Texas State classes. I've got stuff where I'm building a fence. All this stuff is not important. You want to watch this graduation video. It's awesome. But what you're going to be looking for is our class playlist. And it's a little confusing. There's one called ENGR 1304. See this one right here? This is not you. You can watch the videos if you want to. Some of them are probably duplicates. But this is my Texas State ENGR 1304 class. What the playlist you want is this one down here. This is DFTG 1429 / ENGR 1304. Don't click on the video, click on View Full Playlist. And now you're where you need to be. And I've got videos for all the assignments, multiple videos for the same assignment. It just goes on and on and on. And so these are all should be pretty much in order. And so after you watch those media files that you downloaded off of Blackboard, you're going to want to watch this video. And I don't even know what it is anymore, but it talks about the class. Probably kind of like what we talked about today, but you might want to watch that. This is how you set up your SolidWorks templates. And if you don't set those templates up correctly, it's going to be a big disaster. So make sure to watch this template setup video and follow those instructions. And then there's another video here more about talking about the templates. And then here's assignment 1. This says NRG. That was back when we were at the Northridge campus. But this is assignment 01 hex bolt. And so this video will give you some overview of, this is kind of the big picture of what we're doing. And then it's got another video here that pretty much goes step by step. This is how you make this part. So in the first assignment, if you've never used SolidWorks before, you're going to watch those 3 videos I posted on Blackboard, but you're still going to have questions. And so this video is going to be extremely useful for you. And then there's one for DIN-rail for assignment 2. This is the DIN-rail details. It goes through overall picture, big picture stuff. And then it talks about there's part 1, DIN-rail, assignment 2, part 2. So there's 3 videos for assignment 2. And you can skim through them and skip stuff, but the stuff that you need to, this is what I would normally do in class, but since it's online, you're going to be doing this on your own. And then there's assignment 3 and assignment 4, and it just goes down. So yeah, so extremely useful. When you go to the channel, what do I have here? I've got 1,500 subscribers. So I'm trying to get this thing so I can make some money on YouTube, but I don't have enough subscribers. So anyway, it'll be helpful for me if you subscribe to this channel. And it's going to be useful for you because if I post a new video, you'll get a notification about it. So once you get on here, I'll let me see the button, but there should be a subscribe button somewhere. I would subscribe and then turn on notifications, turn on all notifications so that you get notified when I post new videos. Okay. That's that. And I'm at the end of my list here. So la-di-da-di-da. And I even did it in 50 minutes. And so I got 10 minutes, and you'll find that I don't like to keep you guys late. And so I said I'd talk for an hour, and I'm done talking. And so maybe for 10 minutes, if you want to hang out and ask questions or tell me about your cat or whatever you want to tell me, that'd be fine. So who wants to say something? Let me go ahead and turn off this recording so I can not have to